Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
What accent is that exactly?
I think it's more of like it's like a Bostonian accent.
Is that what that is?
Speaker.
You work at a Boston thing there?
I don't know. Anyway, this is the last time. A round of applause. Last time Barack Obama comes to the podium and delivers an address.
You think so?
And joining us on the line right now is a man who will be sitting in the audience, and he'll be absorbing everything that the president has to say. He is Representative Mark Meadows, a representative from North Carolina's 11th district.
The man's a Tar Heel.
That's right. And it's good to have him on the show. Good morning to you, Congressman.
Good morning. It's great to be with you both.
Let me ask you, I'm going to ask you the question that I'm asking everybody this morning, and that is, okay, if you had to say what the State of the Union was based on things going on in your particular congressional district, what would you say?
Well, national security is probably the biggest concern on most people's mind, and it certainly is in North Carolina. And so having the president address that in real terms would be an important factor.
But how does that relate to how people are actually getting by in North Carolina these days?
Well, it really doesn't, and I think that underscores some of the concern because it's been played out, whether it's been in San Bernardino or anywhere else. National security has kind of taken the top spot. Obviously, jobs is still the number one factor in North Carolina. What is the president going to do to make sure that moms and dads have that kind of economic assurance as well? Still plays out real strong, and a lot of people look at the State of the Union as more rhetoric than actually committed to a process, and so they look at it with a more of a cautious tone than anything else. And I think as I sit in the chamber tonight, there will be a few things that I'm looking for. Unfortunately, I know there will be a number of things that I don't hear.
Well, you talk about national security, and of course you're on the Foreign Affairs Committee and also a member of the Freedom Caucus, I should mention. And the president, apparently, according to a New York Times article here, is going to talk about terror, but he's going to try to, as they put it, balance terror and reality. Suggesting that, the media overplays the real threat from terrorists. This on a morning where we wake up and find that there's another suicide bomber in a tourist center in Istanbul. I was just there a couple of years ago with my kids. I walked in this exact square where a suicide bomber just killed 8, I think the reports say 8 people. So what is your response to that?
Well, I don't think the media has overplayed the terror threat. Sitting in some of the classified briefings, I would say that there's not only a clear and present danger, but there's more and more active terrorist activity here in the United States, whether it's here in the city or throughout the heartland of the United States. And that's what we're seeing in polling after polling. It is not a media-driven affair. It's actual concerns over being able to live in a peaceful manner. And so I think what we're going to see is, yes, he's going to try to justify, the president's trying to justify his foreign policy, but more importantly, probably talking about closing Gitmo. I don't, that's a controversial thing, but I can tell you, having been down there, these are not good actors. We know that. In fact, so much so that our military men and women who guard them have to wear numbers on their fatigue so that they're not targeted for terrorist activity. So to be able to say that we can release them with no side effects is troubling to most Americans.
All right, let me ask you this. The president went around Congress on immigration. It now is he's going around them on the issue of gun laws and gun policy. How do you feel about it? Because he's no doubt going to talk about that tonight.
Well, he has a track record of going around Congress. I can tell you that as recent as last night, had a meeting with the speaker and a number of my colleagues where we're prepping for that. This is different because what he would actually be doing is it's been very clear on Gitmo that we've passed a number of bills that have become law. So we'd be asking our military men and women to violate the law. It's not an interpretation. It's a clear instruction from Congress. ultimately, I think he loses that battle. But does become a parting shot that I think the president is intent on fulfilling. But is he willing to put the lives of Americans, not only abroad but here in the United States, at risk for a political agenda? And I think that's extremely sad that he would be willing to do that.
The president actually made some inroads into your state last time around. He thought North Carolina was in play. It got close there. Do you think that clearly the Democrats think that this gun issue is a winning one for them? Hillary Clinton is taking it up now. How's it going to play in North Carolina?
Well, it won't play well in North Carolina, and it doesn't play well throughout most of America. Obviously, in your big cities and so forth, there seems to be a real strict push for additional gun laws. But, in Washington, D.C., the first 10 days that I was here in Washington, D.C., when I was first sworn in, D.C. has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, along with Chicago. And yet there was more gun-related violence in Washington, D.C. in the first 10 days than the last 10 years in North Carolina. And so there's not a direct correlation between stricter gun laws and actual safety. We have to do a better job of obviously supporting our law enforcement. But additionally, some of the regulations that he has passed down will do little to curb the gun violence. We do need to address the mental health issue. I'm all in for that. But just trying to restrict the rights and take away the rights of really law-abiding citizens does not take arms out of the hands of criminals.
We got about a minute left, and I want to ask you a sort of a Republican question, and that is that you were among those most critical of the past Speaker of the House. You wanted to see a change. You got a new Speaker of the House now. How do you feel it's going?
The jury is out, but I can tell you that, like I said, just meeting with the Speaker last night, there has been more meaningful discussions, inclusive discussions with all members of the GOP conference, to get their ideas on how to solve problems for Americans. And so Speaker Ryan last night was saying, he wanted to hear from everybody, which means that not only my 750,000 people's voice is heard, but everybody across the country. And so, I would give him an A for inclusiveness. But most people want to see results, not just rhetoric, and I think that's what they'll see in 2016.
All right, Representative Mark Meadows from North Carolina's 11th District, in advance of the President's State of the Union address. Thank you for joining us.
We'll look for you in the crowd. Wear a red carnation.
I will do. Thank you, guys.
All right,
thank you.